Josh, how much have you changed the last few weeks from what you were doing earlier in the season?
Not a lot. Obviously, we've kind of leaned a little bit more just towards the pass, but we haven't changed what we do or how we do it. I think for us, it's about consistency. It's about consistency in our approach, consistency, and obviously teaching and learning, and then also just consistency in having our players available. And I think that's a big piece to us. And obviously, we just got to keep getting better. We've got so much room to grow. Got a ton of areas we still have to improve on, and we're looking forward to doing that.
So the actual playbook is the same? I mean, the plays you're running are the same?
Yeah,
you were running all through training camp?
Absolutely, yes. Our kids are, they're learning. They're still learning. They're still growing. Every opportunity is new for them, as far as the game opportunities. And so we're just looking forward to continue to build their confidence, and just continue to get them to execute.
How big has Rashard Smith's emergence been in the short passing game and you being able to work the ball to all different parts of the field?
Very huge. When you lose someone like us, we lost in Xavier, those are big shoes to fill. And to see the emergence of Rashard Smith, and he's a guy that he's still a young player. Didn't play quite a bit. Obviously played a little bit last year in small situations for certain plays, but now we're asking him to be a full-time wide receiver, and I think that was new for him. Because he saw X out there. He saw the player that he was learning from. He didn't necessarily think his opportunity was going to come as fast as it did, and he's done a tremendous job. I really am proud of Rashard, the way he's approached practice, his production, and even just each week, being able to overcome adversity and bounce back from certain situations. Really proud. He's continued to build.
Obviously, you've got some pretty big receivers too, which is different than last year where Tyler was mostly throwing the slot guy and Rambo, who was 6'1" or whatever. Has that been an adjustment, do you think, at all for Tyler, just having different types of receivers out there? And it looks like he just has trust in those guys now to kind of make plays.
I think Kobe Young gives us something we didn't have. I think Kobe Young has stepped up, and he's still learning. It was his first real college game experience last week. It's shocking to say that. It's the first time he's really been in the game. And so, there were some areas that obviously he wished to improve on, but there were some areas where he made some plays, and he gave us something different that we haven't had all season long. Someone that competes and goes after the football in the air, obviously with his size, being able to use that to an advantage for him. And I think you're seeing the confidence grow in him. It's growing in him and our staff, growing in him and our players. Our quarterbacks, they love throwing to him. And now, obviously we got to continue to build on it. We got to kind of really build, his resume as a receiver. It can't just be all vertical routes. It's got to be, a complete package. And but very, very pleased, considering, the situation that he was in and having to step up. And, it's not easy to go out there your first game and play 71 snaps and be forced into that type of role. But, he did it in a great way.
Obviously, you played, like 10 snaps against North Carolina. Obviously got a touchdown in that game too. I guess you've been impressive behind the scenes, but did a game like that give you that, just seeing that little flash there against North Carolina give you guys more confidence?
It did, and I think it's just every man taking advantage of the opportunity they're given. Obviously we've got injuries along the offense, and it's the next man up mentality. Every man's got to prepare themselves when their opportunity comes. I think we're about down to the bottom of the barrel as far as the scholarships left. We need guys. We need guys to create roles. We need guys to, we need our backup players to start performing as starters because they're one play away, one snap away. And Kobe Young's a great example of a young man that obviously came in here later into the summer. He's learned the system, and now he's providing tremendous value to our football team.
Obviously, the passing game is doing great. With the run game the last couple of weeks, would you say it's a running backs issue, an offensive line issue, tight end block, another guy block? Like, what sort of caused you to say, hey, we got to go with the pass more because that's what was working?
I think there's a great question. It's a combination of a lot of things. You're talking about injuries and depth issues, obviously, up front. You're talking about injuries and depth issues at the running back position. It's been the perfect storm that, that has kind of really hit us in the running game. It's hard to say it's one particular thing. It's a combination of all those things that you mentioned. But that's obviously an area where we've got to improve, and we know it. But first and foremost, we've got to build the confidence back in. Got to build the confidence back in our players, in our run game. They've shown what they can do. We've got to get them to do it. And I've got to have that confidence in it, being able to trust it, not get down on a negative run that eventually one's going to pop. And, but the biggest thing we got to do completely is just get healthy in both of those positions. We're faced with some tremendous challenges at the running back and at the offensive line position. And whoever we have out there, we're just going to need those guys to go.
Coach, Frank Ladson, how much has he contributed to this passing game taking off more? And he's done well recently.
Yeah, Frank's done really well for us. The area where we now got to take Frank to get the next step is we got to win one-on-one battles. We got to win those competitive catches, those deep opportunities. A lot of what Kobe has kind of brought with us or brought to us, that opportunity to win one-on-one outside. We're going to need that from both our outside receivers, and Frank as well as Keyshawn, Keyshawn Smith. Obviously, Frank last week, played a really good game, and we're going to need more from him. We're going to need more from Keyshawn, need more from Kobe, and I think as the message was portrayed to the offense, we just got to do more. We got to continue to do more across the board wherever we can to get the most out of our guys.
How about Tyler Van Dyke? What's been the difference? From the slow period of the season he had to now.
Well, I don't ever think that he had a slow period in the early part of the season. I think his performance has been consistent as far as his reads and where he's going with the football. I know obviously, everyone kind of puts the cloud over the 2 interception game, but, those were just a situation that happened within a game. He was playing good football before. He was obviously making some good throws, good decisions. And now it's just keeping him confident in his approach, preparation, and trusting receivers. I think that's tremendous credit to Tyler. He's also had a revolving door of pass catchers that he's had to throw the ball to, and so that's oftentimes not very likely to happen during a season. And for your quarterback to be able to go out there and trust, your backup receiver, go out there and trust your 4th or 5th guy to make plays for you and put that trust and give those guys those throws, I think it's been tremendous for Tyler and his leadership.
17 points in the first half and 3 in the second half. After watching the film, did they do anything different? What was the reason for the sputter in the second half?
We really just beat ourselves the second half. You look at it first and foremost, right? We had 9 offensive penalties. You can't play a game with 9 offensive penalties, whether that's drive killers, or one series in there we had 3 penalties right in a row. And we can't have that. We got real sloppy as the game went on, and that showed up. And we've got to be a more disciplined offense. We've got to be a more disciplined football team, and that's got to start with us demanding that of our players, which we do, and we've got to hold ourselves accountable for it. But I think when you look at the second half, I think it was just the flow of it. I think we can't get relaxed by any means, and oftentimes as your team is trying to grow and mature, you got to be able to handle success, whether that's game success or first half success. You got to be able to handle that. You got to be able to have that instincts to continue to push on and push forward. And we've got to learn from that second half, because I think that second half was an important one to learn from. Obviously, we were able to gain a win, but there's so much more that we can do to improve in that second half.
When you talk about momentum, you lose a guy like Will Mallory so early in the game, and he was looking phenomenal. How do you think that kind of changed the momentum and the mentality?
Well, it changed a lot of what you do, because they took another hit, obviously, at the tight end position. So you talk about from a personnel standpoint, you're kind of down to only 2 guys left, and 2 or 3 guys left, and then obviously face a little bit of adversity later, losing Rashad, and so it's nothing we haven't been through. Unfortunate for us, we've been through it all, and I think our guys can't be phased at this point. I think we're somewhere down between 8 or 9 players who have started for us on offense, at some point, and so it comes with the game of football, it comes with the season. We've got to continue to push forward, find ways to win, and ultimately, whatever way that we can find to outscore that team and win that game is going to be our approach each and every week.
So the approach on the final couple of drives seemed to be got to throw to pick up first downs. It didn't work the second to last drive. It worked the final drive. Was that kind of the mentality that with the running game not sputtering, couldn't really trust it to get the yards in time you needed?
Well, in a critical situation in a game where obviously you have a lead, you kind of lean back on what has worked for you that day. Leaning back on what has allowed you to be successful at that moment in the game. That was what I felt would create success for us. Leaning in the pass game. Obviously, we had some challenges to produce some positive plays, but I've got to continue to trust and believe in our run game. We've got to be able to grind it out late in the game when we need to, and be able to run the ball when we need to and when we have to, as well as being able to throw the ball when we need to and when we have to. And so that was just a situation throughout the game to trust, obviously putting the ball in the hands of Tyler and the receivers who have continued to make some plays throughout that game. But we'll get our run game going. We will. I truly believe, and I got tremendous confidence in our run game, and we'll get it going.
Coach,
Last
what?
question from Cal.
Coach,
Sorry, Coach, I just want to ask about Colby Young. Obviously, we're seeing him make plays on the field. What has he gone through off the field in practice and film to learn this new system from a whole different division to be able to step and make these plays?
Yeah, just getting acclimated. Just being able to obviously came here right at the end of June, beginning of July. You're talking about a whole different change for him. Coming from the junior college ranks, just getting acclimated academically, athletically, getting his body in position. He was a guy that he didn't do anything from June, March, April, May when everyone else was doing spring football. He was done with football, and so even having to train his body at a high level to be able to be ready, for season and for fall camp. And then he's worked through some small little nagging injuries early on in camp, and he's gotten himself in position now, and he's playing good football for us. So we're going to need Kobe as we head down this stretch, especially in the ACC play. We're going to need him to continue to improve, continue to take his game to the next level, and help us win games.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
We'll
Coach.
see you here shortly. Thanks, Coach.
Coach Rick from that.
This is so cool.
You're gonna be good at
nobody asked.
Yeah.
I understand what the rush is. Nobody asked about the team. I wanted to get one question.
That was very strong.
Yeah,
We can talk.
Because we only get them once a week.
Just do like a website, you click on it.
On Twitter,
It's
I
on
know they
Twitter.
put it on Twitter.
You put the link on Twitter, and it comes out pretty cool. Yeah. Awesome.
I think you can really hear us.
What's up, man? 2 minutes.
No, you